This episode of the Blerd Mob contains explicit language. While we want everyone to enjoy the show, sometimes we may say things that are not appropriate for all ages. So, in other words, Mom, Dad, Granny, we cussing. Discretion is advised. I feel you.
Eternals had bell peppers, Laurie seasoning salt, Tony Satchel,
Lobster tail,
Yeah.
New York
Exactly.
strip,
and they just messed it
and
up.
put it on a paper and put it on a styrofoam.
King G, Grow Site, ENT. Rock with it, rock with it, rock with it, rock with it. Let me pop my shit. Let me pop my shit. Hands up.
What's up, y'all, and welcome to the Blerd Mob, your hub for all things black and nerdy. I'm your host, Foop, joined by my two co-hosts, Ryan and Ralph. If you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other streaming service, make sure you hit that follow button so you can get updates from the mob.
And if you lovely blerds and nerds are watching us on YouTube, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and let us know what you thought. Turn those bell notifications so that you can see the next one.
Alright, and make sure you guys check out those affiliate links in the description for Entertainment Earth and Right Stuff Anime and get you guys some cool stuff and support the mob. So, we are here today to do a mob review on Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, which dropped on February 17th, 2023. As always, our mob reviews are spoiler filled, so if you have not seen Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, or you watched it and you didn't finish it, I would suggest you pause, finish the movie, and then come back. So, this is gonna be one of those reviews where it's like, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it.
I'm gonna keep it real with you, big dog. I fell asleep.
And I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Like, I don't blame you.
No, but I was in that nasty sleep. Like, I'm talking like my head doing like this. the entire
I don't blame you. I don't. But let's get into the first hot take. So, we got some couple character introductions into this movie. I want to talk about 3 of them. Cassandra Lang, Modok, and of course, Kang the Conqueror. Let's start with Cassie since we were introduced to her first in the movie. How did you guys feel about Cassandra Lang?
She wasn't quite impactful. Like, I saw what type of character she was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't look like they was trying to subside my expectations nor prove my expectations. It seemed like she was just there. Does that make sense?
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I would agree. It was very much we didn't have no real introduction besides the fact that, oh, she got a suit. Oh, okay. Move on to the next topic. There was no like real explanation on how she got it, no, extra additives on like this maybe a nice story of how she,
I think the tidbit of how she got the suit was at the beginning, because you remember they said she may have stolen a suit. And then it got confirmed that when they got into the quantum realm that, oh yeah, she actually has a suit.
Okay.
But I definitely agree with you both that I didn't care for her. She didn't make, like, as far as the young actors coming into the MCU, because we've met America Chavez, we've met Miss Marvel, we've met Wiccan and Speed and WandaVision, we've met Patriot, we just met Ironheart. But to me, she didn't make as big as an impact as the rest of those young heroes. Like Ryan said, she was just there. Like, she served one purpose, to be Scott's driving force throughout the movie, but that was basically it. Like, you did nothing else. Your presence did nothing else for this movie.
And it's like, she was supposed to be like, I guess they start off like with her kind of being edgy, like, oh, you're in jail. And I'm like, wait, the superhero Ant-Man got a delinquent daughter. Oh, this is interesting. Nah, I'm doing charity work and people get mad. Okay. So, You're right in the middle. Cool. I stole the suit. I'm super smart. Okay, but I make mistakes. Okay. It's like there was nothing just interesting. You know what I mean? Like everything was kind of like balanced out. She sat right in the middle, and that's not bad. It's just her being a balanced character didn't bring much either. Like I guess we didn't get to know her well enough. Like,
and I'm not really sure. I guess now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not really sure if she was supposed to make an impression on the movie. Like,
Yeah.
is she gonna come? Are they gonna use her later, or was she just there for this final Ant-Man film to give Ant-Man some reason to have a conflict with Kang?
but I mean,
I don't know.
for as much
Like,
screen time as she got, wasn't she supposed to be impactful?
I mean, I
Like,
definitely agree
You
with
got
you.
a point.
She was in the whole movie.
She was. It's not like they just put her to the side. Like she was there. We
Yeah.
saw her.
Her only dialogue was dad, 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 girl, say please. And then what was that part where she was talking to Modok? Just don't be a dick, dad, and don't be a
That
dick.
that was one of the two scenes that actually made me laugh.
Yeah.
That was one of the two things that actually made me laugh.
And I was just like, but I definitely agree. She did not leave an impression on me at
Nah,
all.
she was very, I guess, lackluster.
Definitely agree.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the next character that we get introduced to, Modok. The mechanized organism designed only for killing. I got one thing to say. They should have kept the helmet on them.
They should. They should.
That man was. Listen, bro.
But the thing is, he is ugly in the comics. Like if you look up like the comic version of Modok, he is ugly. But just
Yeah.
like when he took the helmet off, and I was like, put it back on.
And then, and you know what? I've seen like the comic book image of Modok, and I was like,
But he looks more
It
menacing. But
never.
he looks more menacing though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like he looked frightening. I don't want to say menacing. He looked like
he's actually a top-notch villain. But
yeah.
I don't think that my other statement is I don't think this movie was the movie to introduce him into, because he's had run-ins with tons of Avengers, and
Mm-hmm.
I like his origins. Like he was made in the science lab and all this other stuff. I just don't think Ant-Man was the place to put him in. Maybe like Captain America or something like that, just given what I read, but I don't
Is
know.
his story in the comics pretty similar to now? Like Kang is
No,
what kind of like okay.
no.
So that was like
They
all added.
he has a completely different name. Like they
Mm-hmm.
switched him up completely. And like from what I saw, Modok doesn't is they changed it's mental organism design only for killing. They changed it in the movie to mechanize. So they did some creative changes with Modok that I don't think, because he also felt there. He also just felt like he's in the movie to provide some type of comedic relief. Like I
Yeah.
appreciate them making it like full circle, like what did happen to Darren and Ant-Man 1. Like where did he actually go? Oh, he ended up in the quantum realm. Oh, Kang found him and now he's Modok. Like that brought everything back full circle, sure, but I don't think that Modok, I don't think that should have maybe been the choice of character for him.
I mean, it's kind of shocking because for you to say he's a big enemy, he felt more like comedic relief. Like I
Exactly.
never
He didn't
felt.
give me enemy.
Yeah, I never felt like he was a major threat at
Like
all.
he's like pretty much head honcho. Like he's like big brains, and then everybody does everything under me. But him working for Kang, and then like you said, being comedic relief, and then like I don't know, being a slave to Kang the Conqueror instead of like developing your own type thing. I don't.
Yeah.
It threw me for a loop.
Because he has pretty much all this brain power to do all these things, but
Exactly.
he's working under Kang, and it feels like an undercut to the Modok character.
I
like Spark
agree.
Notes. Like they looked up on Spark Notes and said,
It's
"All right,
not.
we got this."
It's really not even Spark Notes. It's really this is what Modok looks like, but this is what we actually want him to do.
Yeah, like we're gonna change it up to where it's more friendly and laughable.
Right. And he gets a quote unquote redemption arc. Like, I guess.
He's no longer a dick.
I didn't really care about his redemption arc.
I didn't care either. I feel like it was very out of the blue.
Yeah.
Cause like, one, I barely even remembered Ant-Man 1 for me to be like, what? Darren?
That's
What?
I didn't know who he was at first.
Now you saying something. That's the big part.
Like
we
the
barely
reveal,
remember you.
Like the reveal wasn't shocking to me at all. Like when they lift up the mask, and I was like, he just looks like a big baby head, like the CGI. Like he looks like George Lopez from Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Yes,
bro.
Yes.
Bro, I swear to God, I said that during the movie, bro. I swear to God, I said, "What in the Shark Boy and Lava Girl is this?" Then I said, "No, it's more like Star Wars."
That's what
I literally said that.
That's what it looked like, and it was just, you know, it didn't. It didn't kill,
bro.
My
I
man
swear
face
I
didn't
said
have
that
any
too.
scars, nothing. It was just
No, like one
didn't look
blind eye that's
menacing.
all white or
No.
nothing.
Like the minute they took the helmet off was the minute, like Ralph said, the minute they took the helmet off is the minute that you understand that he's here for comedic relief. Because I can't take him serious at this point.
Nah.
Mm-hmm.
When they took that helmet on, I was like, "Then you just ruined it."
The helmet was fine. The helmet looked nice.
Hey, that gold metal face,
yeah,
was
that was
fire.
Nice.
That was cold.
But
that
when they took that helmet off,
yeah.
put it back on. I was expecting more out of Modok, and I'm not sure if they're gonna. Well, he's dead now, so they're not gonna do anything else with him. So I kind of feel like they wasted his character.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that.
I feel like it was just a, hey, comic book fans, we got him, we did it.
But to me, it just didn't make sense for him to be in this movie. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Sure, we want to put Modok in the MCU where we think the MCU is going. We may not be able to throw him in there, so the best place to put him is here. Sure, but if we're going back to Kevin Feige's statement of, you know, these superhero movies can live lifetimes, you guys could have just kept him in the bag for something else.
Yeah. Gave us a different counter villain to Kang or something.
Or just
somebody less.
Or just left them out. Like, you know, Kang standing on his own, I think would have been fine. Like, what was the point of putting Modok in it?
Yeah.
Like, Kang already had an army. If they just needed somebody to work for Kang, he has an army.
He could have just made like a giant version of those little like non-mechanical, non-living, a mix of both little soldiers he had.
Right. Yeah. Or just made one of those soldiers, like, or if you wanted to go with Darren, like, make him something else, not Modok, you know?
Yeah.
That might have sat better with me, but let's talk about the man of that, because I feel like this is his movie. I feel like this is his movie. Let's talk about Kang the Conqueror. I would just say that Jonathan Majors as Kang the Conqueror, to me, is up there with top tier casting with Robert Downey Jr. as Ant-Man and Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther.
Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man.
What did I say?
Ant-Man.
Iron Man. My bad. Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man and Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther. I think the casting for Jonathan Majors as Kang was top tier.
Yeah, I would definitely agree.
I'm gonna be real. I haven't watched too many of his other works of art. Like I watched a few episodes of Lovecraft Country, but like his acting, that's how you act. Everything he did felt believable. Every time he spoke, the facial expressions, it did feel believable. Like this was some top tier acting. Not going to cap.
This was his movie. Like I wanted him to win. Mm-hmm. Like he was so good. I wanted him to win.
I wanted to see Ant-Man lose.
I did.
I might watch Creed 3 because of his acting. I ain't watched a single Creed.
I do want to see. I'm on the same boat. I do want to see.
Not just because he's in it.
Like,
y'all want to go see it, bro.
Look,
What?
I'm not a look. It's just they
he
made
did
it
a
look
good,
so good.
yeah, and he did a great job. Like, I'm sorry, like, I feel like a lot of actors nowadays are kind of like, they're not offensive, but they're not amazing either. And like, now we're seeing like some really good acting again. Like, this is what good acting is. Like,
Like he was very calm, but also like terrifying at the same time. Like very
Oh yeah.
dominating at the same time. Like one of my favorite moments is when Janet's doing her flashbacks and she talks about how when they were fixing Kang's ship, she had touched like the core or whatever
Yeah,
it
the
was.
loan. Yeah.
And she saw in his head and saw that, he was Kang the Conqueror. The way he looked at her, like he like there was no like even like his subtle facial expressions, like the way he
exactly.
changed, his demeanor changed to like, oh, I know
So
what you're
you know
looking
now.
at. Like, so what you think?
What's your thoughts? You got notes? Yep, I'm ready.
I've destroyed timelines, but I won't destroy yours. I keep a promise.
He saw what was going on and he was like, damn. Like there was like no regret. It was kind of just like, okay, now what? And I was just like, that's top tier. Like it wasn't a, hey, I'm your enemy 0 to 100. I'm your friend 0 to 100. I'm your enemy. It was kind of like that gradual of, okay,
Like,
now what?
I know who I am. Now you know who I am. You like it or you don't.
It's like he pretty much gave her an opportunity to be like, okay, you can help me and I won't destroy your earth. Or you can defy me.
he was doing his thing. And this ain't acting, but that Kang versus Ant-Man fight, he was tearing his ass up.
He was beating him down.
He was tearing his ass up. And I was like,
he was throwing some slugs.
I was like, this good shit.
Every time Ant-Man hit him, he was just like, "Oh, that's all you got, bet."
Ate it.
Hey,
ate it.
Hey, he was doing his thing. Honestly, this is his movie. Like the minute they got into the quantum realm, and I just felt like they were doing a lot of filler before they got to Kang, and I was just like, okay, I really want to see Kang. Like they doing all of this filler. Like, who are we running from? Who are we supposed to be hiding from? Janet, why you not? What you not telling us? And I was like, can we get the Kang? Y'all doing all this teasing.
We saw her ex-boyfriend for like 4 minutes at the cafe, and it was like after that he not relevant.
I was like, where's Kang?
Right.
Where is the Conqueror?
Like, I ain't gonna lie, Janet could have been told them. I don't. Watching the movie now, it's like, why wouldn't you tell them as soon as you came back in the last Ant-Man movie? Why would you not tell them?
For the plot.
But I definitely agree with Ralph. Like at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, when they got her out the quantum realm, she didn't really seem like, like some
she didn't
shit
seem distressed.
Right, like she didn't seem like some shit had went down in the quantum realm, And
like she didn't walk out there like, I'm traumatized by everything I've seen. Like it was just, oh my gosh, I'm back.
Right. Yeah. So and then we get to Ant-Man Quantumania, and it's just like, you're fooling with the quantum realm, la 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 la. And I was like, well, you ain't really tell us, that there was bad shit down here. Like you didn't really give us the feeling of like, we don't need to be back down there, or like the way that you came back is like, damn girl, what happened in the quantum realm? Like it just gave. They found you. You was just stuck down there, and now you back and you want to live your life. Yeah. But touching on Ralph's thing once more, I kind of feel like that's unrealistic. You was stuck in the quantum realm for 30 years. You just can't come back and sit down at the dinner table with your family and eat pizza like nothing happened.
No. You're like, you can't come back all hunky dory like, oh yeah, I'm glad to be back. You see some stuff.
We can talk for hours about having like one funny interaction with somebody that happened at the club or something. Shawty, you was in a whole nother universe essentially for 30 years, a part of wars, a part of a freaking militant group. You
You
ain't
just
tell
ain't
you
get
tell your
you.
family none of that.
That's not something you just get over. And the thing about it is that I understand that this is 5 years in the future. Like this is after Infinity War. But even then, girl, you just got out of the quantum realm for 30 years. Maybe a month or so later, you get dusted. Come back undusted 5 years later. That's 2 traumas that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
And you just sitting there at the dinner table, eating pizza, living your life like nothing happened.
Exactly.
And I understand that you didn't want to tell anybody about the quantum realm, but it's just the way, I would say this, the way that they wrote Janet as being a survivor of all of this shit that happened in the quantum realm just didn't seem realistic to me. Because if they think about other characters that have come back from traumatic events, just look at Bucky. Like, you can look at Bucky. Bucky could be doing something normal, and it's just like, yo, you've been through some shit.
Tony Stark came back freaking shrunken down, scared, fearful. He was like, "Bro, what y'all doing?" Didn't he like fall out when he was right around all the Avengers? Do I remember that scene correctly?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I felt like it was a bit unrealistic to me. But the next hot take I want to talk about is just the quantum universe itself. So in Ant-Man and the Wasp, we saw the quantum realm, but we were kind of introduced to it as this desolate area. Like there's nothing out here but just a bunch of bacteria-like organisms and stuff like that. And it was just like, okay, there's nothing really important going down here. But then we get to Quantumania, and there's civilizations, there's all types of creatures. They have classes, basically, a full-on hierarchy. So we really dive deep into what's inside the quantum universe. And how did we feel about that?
It looked like they traveled to a planet in Star Wars for me.
Yeah.
It definitely gave me Star Wars vibes.
Mm-hmm.
And go ahead, Ralph.
They gave what I would believe would be an accurate description from what we would think that the quantum realm would look like. We know it wouldn't be anything normal as what we see, cars and stuff. It will look very futuristic. The people there will look very futuristic. Pretty much like an episode of Rick and Morty. Like whenever they go to different planets and stuff, that's how these people look. That's how they
accurate
act.
too.
Like they gave us a really good description. I will give them that. Quantumania looked exactly how it was supposed to look.
That was one of the things that I really liked about this movie. It definitely gave me Star Wars vibes with like how the creatures were set up, how the civilizations were. I love the colors of the quantum realm. I like the way the civilizations were set up because the first civilization they meet with like how the people's houses were made. And then it turns out they're rocket ships. And I was like, okay, cool. And then you look at Kang's domain, all with like all this futuristic tech, like the militia and stuff. And it's just like, think of like the Republic in Star Wars and all the clones just waiting outside, ready to go to war. And in the scene where Janet had met up with her old boo thing, and I was like, this is giving the cantina. So like, I definitely like that part about it because I feel like they took a page out of Star Wars of how this should look like, and I think they did a really good job with like the different creatures and the food and the drinks and even like the way the technology works, like with the rocket ship not being like a regular rocket ship, like put your hands in this organism. I thought that was pretty dope.
That goo monster was the star of the show especially when he finally got his hose.
I have hose.
That was the first scene that made me laugh.
It was so random. It was so random. I think those parts were funny, but I think that's kind of another reason of why this movie is kind of to me, because like the random funny moments. Like I feel like you guys understand that the plot is going nowhere. So let's throw in the little goo monster getting some hoes and just scream, I have hoes, and eat everybody. Or
you
like
drink
that.
me, you want some more of me?
Or like that scene between Cassie and Modok, and he's like, what am I supposed to do? And he's like, just don't be a dick. And he was like, it's too late. And I was like,
I am a dick.
I am a dick.
I thought the dialogue was very lackluster in this movie. Like, what are you guys saying at this point?
You had a high schooler who said, how can I make this funny? Let's talk about hoes and
Like,
dicks.
Cassie just says dad the whole movie. Scott just says Cassie the whole movie. I feel like Kang and Janet were the only ones that had real lines.
Yeah.
Hope's whole thing is, where's Scott? Where's Cassie? Where's Scott? Where's Cassie? Mom. Then Hank's thing
The
is
mom barely did anything.
Ants.
What was her name? Heather. What's the name again? She barely had any lines, in my opinion.
Hope.
Oh,
she was
barely...
also just there. I feel like everybody in this movie was just there except Kang and a little bit of Janet.
Yeah.
That's why they advertised it as Jonathan Majors. They was like, you know what? We got him. This will be our saving grace.
Because nobody else was really doing shit in this movie.
In all honesty, he was the saving grace.
Honestly,
he was.
That was the 5. That's
the saving grace.
I feel like when they, like when you record movies like this, you got to sit down and watch it all the way through and see does it make sense. I'm pretty sure at least one person in there was a little humble and said, you know what? If it wasn't for him, this movie would be trash.
I think everybody has to, honestly, like, his performance was top tier. Like, this was his movie. Like, his introduction in Loki was great. Like, introducing Kang, Jonathan Majors inside of the MCU, great.
Mm-hmm.
But this right here, this was lovely, and this definitely made me excited for Loki season 2. This made me excited for the Kang dynasty. This made me excited for everything else coming up in the MCU.
All right. Now, a pain point that I had was, why didn't Ant-Man receive any upgrades through his suit at all? Like,
why he just had the same suit?
Yeah, he didn't make any improvements even after, the blip is passed and everything and everybody's back, but he didn't make any
I would say that makes some sense, because he didn't do nothing but talk about his book. Like, even Cassie did say, like, he just been chilling. He listened to his own book. He walks around and get free coffee. That's all he been doing.
I was just about to say that he really hasn't been doing anything to get upgrades. Like, Captain America's gone, Iron Man's gone. What was I about to say? They beat Thanos. Like, everything that's been going on in Phase 4 is like, I can only assume that he hasn't been aware of any of it. He's just been chilling. Ain't nobody didn't hit his line. He ain't seen nothing, so he thinks everything's just been hunky dory. So he's just been living his life. The only reason he got sucked into this is because Cassie and all of them was playing around with the quantum realm, and Kang found them. So it's very unfortunate that he got in this situation and he ain't had no upgrades, but it kind of makes sense of why he didn't upgrade his suit. Like, he's super smart, but he's not like Iron Man. Like, he doesn't have Iron Man preparedness, because Tony was always building new stuff. For what? Because he wanted to. Like, he was always upgrading his suit because he wanted to. No, there's no immediate danger going on, but let me upgrade my suit.
And now he doesn't even have Tom Holland Spider-Man.
They didn't really even know each other like that, but yeah, that too.
Yeah, that's...
Like, ain't nobody here. There was, in all of Phase 4, there was nobody to hit up Ant-Man and be like, hey, it's some shit going down. We need you. Like, and to me, if I was an Avenger, he would definitely be at the bottom of my call list. Because why am I calling you?
Yeah.
Out of everybody I can call, why am I calling you?
We know a God. We know a Hulk. Like,
we know 2 Hulks. I'm gonna call She-Hulk before I call you.
I'm calling Valkyrie before I call you.
But I get it. I get it. I feel that great because they just used the same technology, and like in all 3 of these movies.
Yeah.
Like, it was just the same gimmicks, the same technology. The only thing is that Cassie has a suit. Hank has these super intelligent ants. And let's talk about that, because that's my other gripe. How the hell does Kang the Conqueror get defeated by an army of ants?
I'm gonna be honest. Jonathan Majors' acting was good, but I wanted to ask this entire time. They did not make Kang look dangerous. I understand that there's a whole bunch of him, but when I even saw how he acted in this movie, I'm like, he was beating Ant-Man, but Ant-Man managed to get the one up. I was like,
But
a
I
couple
feel-
of robotic Iron Man suits look like they could beat this guy. Is he that dangerous? Just me. I didn't feel the threat.
I think the threat would have came had he gotten out the quantum realm. I feel like the threat didn't come because I don't feel like they explain well of like what's gonna happen if I get out. If that makes sense.
And what can his powers actually do? Because at first, when he was shooting them blue lasers, it looked like he was vaporizing folks. But then all of a sudden, when he's shooting at Cassie and Ant-Man and all of them, he ain't vaporizing them. He was just pushing them back like it was a force blow.
I just feel like it was plot armor. I just feel like it was plot armor because it does because none of it makes sense to me.
It was too close. No, those things happen too close in chronological order. Boom, boom, boom. Everybody vaporizes. I shoot Cassie and Ant-Man. Boom, just a little force blow. It's not even as strong as Iron Man's energy blast.
It's plot armor.
That's Naruto level plot armor. That's Goku Dragon Ball Z level plot armor.
I didn't appreciate it. I saw him start vaporizing people, and I was like, okay, we get into the nitty gritty.
We got something.
We get into the nitty gritty. Like, y'all gotta be careful. And then, like you said, they get hit. Nothing happens. Hank shows up with a bunch of ants. That whole scene reminded me of Suicide Squad when they was fighting Starroy.
That little starfish monster thing.
Big starfish.
Yeah.
And they used a bunch of fucking rats to kill him.
Yeah. Most definitely.
But in this movie, it felt like a cop-out.
It did. It really did. And to even go and support your point, Ryan, I felt the exact same way. Like this, we have Kang the Conqueror. This man has said he has killed multiple Avengers. He has beaten Thor.
Did he look like he could even beat Shuri? Like, be honest. I felt like Namor was a bigger threat than him. Namor looks like a bigger threat than Kang so far.
Like, that was wild. We have this huge figure. We have a conqueror come in, regardless of wherever he may land, even if he was in, Quantumania or even the quantum realm.
Exactly.
He should have the same power. He has his suit.
Yeah.
Exactly. It made me think, like, is his only power the fact that he can make shadow clones, or like he got different versions of himself? Like, is that his intimidation factor? I kind of get it. I mean, if there was like a 1,000 Hulks, yeah, the universe probably would be destroyed. I get you. But independently by himself, he didn't look like much of a threat.
I feel like he was kind of put at a disadvantage because, one, we didn't get introduced to Kang until like towards the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And then when we did get introduced to him, his whole thing was he was trying to get the core. Like, his whole thing is trying to get out the quantum realm. So I'm not going to be the big evil Kang. And he's already conquered the quantum universe. We're just hearing about, how everybody's been affected by him conquering. So his whole thing now is like, I've already conquered the quantum universe. I just need to stay. So I don't need to be big and bad and menacing. I don't need to like vaporize people for no reason to make me feel terrifying, because I just, need a ride out of here.
You got a point.
I kind of feel like he's just one of those villains that he's not meant to be in this story here. He's not meant to be like menacing.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Can he vaporize people in one shot or not?
You said what?
Can he vaporize people in one shot or not? What prevents you from getting vaporized? Answer that. And please answer that.
I
Please let me know.
I'm just saying, I'm just analyzing the movie to just see how we got to this point. I'm just
I have no
analyzing the
words.
movie to see how we got to this point. I feel you.
He is upset.
I feel you. I feel you. I just feel like it was ton of plot armor, and
now we got a dead conqueror.
and now we got a maybe dead conqueror. He could still be out there.
Yeah.
Because he got sucked into that multiverse machine, and they could have put him anywhere. They just
That
think
is
he
true.
did.
He gonna come back. I hope.
I feel you. I really liked him in this movie. He did.
I mean, some superb acting. Some superb acting. This was Jonathan Majors' movie. It definitely was, but
And it could also be, now that I'm thinking about it, that this is not the Kang that we need to be worried about. Because
could be.
Because in the mid-credit scene, as we could see, there's a bunch of them. So, yes, they met Kang the Conqueror. No, he didn't feel like Thanos level big bad. But that could be because this is not the Kang that we need to have that perception of. Because
that's why I'm wondering. Keep going.
I was gonna say, because when he the first Kang that we met in Loki, I forgot like what his title was. Everybody's like, oh shit, it's Kang. And then he dies. And then they were like, okay, Kang the Conqueror is coming next. And it was like, oh shit, Kang the Conqueror. But then he's gone. And we know there's more Kangs coming up. So it's kind of like, as we keep getting introduced to these Kangs, one of them gonna be the bee's knees. It just want this one.
And I mean, that kind of makes sense. Like, maybe it's the fact that there's so many variations, and each variation is probably, and like one of them is probably the big bad, but it's like, that just means that the best part of the movie was the mid-credit scene. Because now I'm like, ooh, what happens next?
And in the end credit scene. So let's get into those two. Let's talk about the mid-credit scene first. So the mid-credit scene is we get 3 major Kangs. We get Scarlet, Centurion, Ramatut, and Immortus, which are 3 other Kang variants. They, they come together and it was like, hey, the exiled one, Kang the Conqueror, is dead. He got beat by an Avenger. They don't care that he's dead. They care that the Avengers are getting closer to learning about the multiverse. It's becoming apparent. And if they get closer to the multiverse, they're going to start finding out some other things and touching some things that they've been working very hard to keep like under the wraps. So now it's like, we need to do something before they get to it. So they do their Council of Kangs, and that's when we see like the Gladiator Coliseum of could be thousands of Kang variants. And they're getting ready to go.
They hyped up and like those, yeah.
This made me very excited for the Kang Dynasty, because why is it that many of y'all? Why is it that many? I get the whole infinite multiverse thing, infinite timelines, like that many though?
Like, what are y'all hiding?
And all of y'all are different. All of y'all are different.
They all had different personalities. We saw the bros. We saw the wise men. Like, we saw a lot of different type of...
At this point, we have been introduced to 5 major Kangs. And you telling me there's a coliseum of thousands?
And they were still porting up in there.
And they were
like,
still coming in.
Y'all. But this is what I was saying in the last episode. Like, this multiverse stuff is starting to make sense. Because when they said that the Avengers, they're getting too close to the multiverse, let's talk about all the things that happen in Phase 4. All these random events of certain Avengers touching pieces of the multiverse. What happens when they all come together and put all these pieces together, add what Ant-Man and them just witnessed with Kang and what they know from him. And you remember Kang start talking about incursions to Ant-Man. Guess who also knows about incursions? Doctor Strange. This shit. I'm excited. If you can't tell,
Things starting to make sense.
This shit is about to start making sense. So let's move to the end credit scene. We get introduced to another Kang. So that makes 6. We get introduced to another Kang variant. His name is Victor Timely. He went back in time to Massachusetts, 1901 he became mayor of some city, and then, used all his smarties to advance the city. So we show up, he's doing some presentation about time. They pan to the audience, and Loki and Mobius are sitting there. Loki basically shits bricks because this is another Kang variant, and Mobius just looks like he doesn't really understand the threat. But we understand the threat.
We understand.
And it was just like, okay, Loki season 2 is about to be interesting, because now the questions that I have based on this end credit scene is, where does Loki season 2 take place? Is this after they defeat Kang the Conqueror, or could these events be happening at the same time? The second thing is how, like, are they going to be introduced into multiple Kangs? Like, so we saw this Council of Kangs with like thousands. We saw those big 3. Are those big 3 gonna come back into Loki? Is Loki like that missing piece that's gonna make all of this stuff make sense?
I say yes, because we know Loki is still with TVA. He's still stuck in TVA. TVA has access to pretty much every timeline that has been broken, and they're gonna go and try to repair. We know that's their job. They're gonna do that. That means that they're gonna meet more Kangs. Of course, they're gonna meet more Kang variants, because they're wanting to keep, kind of whatever they've done under wraps, and that pretty much means continuing to further each of these worlds, continuing to further all these timelines into their broken stages, because they want to cover up the things that they've done. So it's going to be a bunch of run-ins. I don't know how many there will be, but I feel like it's going to be quite a bit.
I feel like we had this conversation before, but I want to bring it up again. I'm thinking that Loki season 2 is going to be that climax point. Like, going back to where I was saying, all of these random multiverse events have happened. And then we get the Loki, and then that's the event where everything starts falling into line, and then everything after that is just like, we on a straight path now. Like, you did this, you did this, you did this, you did this, Loki. Okay, boom. Then we all on the same page.
So when are we getting Loki? When are we getting Loki season 2 again?
I think summer 2023.
Are we getting anything else in between that? When does Secret Invasion come out?
They said spring.
Secret Invasion comes out in spring. Well, that would make sense. And then hopefully we'll be able to play Secret Invasion based on that as well.
Secret Invasion is... I have questions about Secret Invasion, of how that's going to fall into like a multiverse thing, because it's possible. I saw a theory that it's possible that the Nick Fury that we've been seeing in all of these MCU movies has been a Skrull this whole time. But Nick Fury is cool with the Skrulls. So it could be that, and we also know that Nick Fury is in space. At the end of Spider-Man Far From Home, he was in space. So it's possible that Nick Fury knows about all this shit. He sent a Skrull down in there to basically like report up, keep the peace, keep business as usual. And Secret Invasion is him coming back from space, cause he knows like it's some shit coming, and somehow somewhere Secret Invasion is gonna fit into it. But I feel like it at this point, I think it has to fit in this multiverse stuff somehow. So
Right.
We will see. We will see.
I'm excited, but at the same time, I don't feel as lost as what Phase 4 left me.
No, like for real, like it's starting.
I agree that.
It's starting to make sense. Like the bits and pieces that I got from some of Kang's dialogue, the mid credit scene, the end credit scene, some of this stuff is starting to make sense, or you could at least see where these pieces are going to fit in as far as the storyline. So
I just want them, like, I know Ant-Man is an outlier, but like a lot of people are disappointed by Thor: Love and Thunder. A lot of people are disappointed by Eternals. I hope that even though we're looking forward to the big Avengers-esque battle, I hope that they do a better job at making the stepping stones to get there more entertaining. You know what I mean?
I
Like, I
agree.
don't like that this movie. I don't like that this movie, the most enjoyable part that even got you guys' attention, is the end credit scene. That doesn't, make a movie. Like, I want to be like, I wish I could be sitting here saying this movie was great, not the things it sets up for next. Like, the next movie is what's great. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Let's be honest here. We have Ant-Man. He's already a meh tier hero. Do we really expect a lot out of an Ant-Man movie?
I would say
I
this.
expected it to be at least a good movie because we had a god named Thor, and only one of his movies was actually good.
I would say this. As this being the movie to kick off Phase 5, for this being the movie to introduce Kang the Conqueror, as well as the magnitude of what the Kang dynasty could possibly lead to, I think it should have had a bit more of an impact. But I could see it. I see it two ways, because this was another hot take. I'm glad you brought that up, Ralph. Did this give a strong start for Phase 5? Yes, because of the introduction of Kang and the magnitude of what the Kang dynasty could be. No, because I really just didn't care for the movie. But with this being the first movie in the phase, did it have to be grand slam spectacular? Or
What was technically the first movie of Phase 4?
Black Widow.
Black Widow. It gave about the same to me, at least.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, with this being the beginning, this is the first step. So with us getting these, these hints and getting these theories and like seeing how some of these pieces may come together, I think it might have been fitting for this to be the first movie in Phase 5 to give you that push of this is what's possibly going to be coming after. Now, I 100% agree with Ryan that the movie as a whole, I didn't care for it. But what it is possibly setting up and what it did set up, I think made sense for this to be the first stepping stone for Phase 5. So not a super strong start, but strong enough that it's going to keep us interested to see what comes next after this.
Yeah.
I give it the analogy of whenever you put a battery into a car and it like doesn't crank a little bit, and then you just keep trying. I feel like we're at the part
this the
of
first
it finally cranked. Yeah.
This the first crank. This that first ring, 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 ring.
Like, we got a little something. All right, we got to keep working.
Let me adjust and then do it again. This was that first one. And honestly, I think it's fair to put Ant-Man in here. If everybody watching it was like, it's not horrible. Let's start with the not horrible movie. If we're confident that everything else after this is going to exceed that.
Yeah.
What is the next actual movie again?
The Marvels.
The Marvels.
In November.
But we're getting some shows in between.
Right. We're about to get some Disney Plus shows in between that. I think Secret Invasion is going to be damn good. If Loki, just based off season 1, I also think it's going to be damn good. And I just need to see a trailer for the Marvels to see what they're working with.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think it's fair. I think it's fair. Go ahead and kick out this Ant-Man movie. We know what this Ant-Man movie is going to set up. It may not get, top tier ratings, but it's going to do enough. So let's go ahead and get it out the way. This is your first stepping stone. Now let's get to the nitty gritty, because I could think of this the other way. If we were getting back to back damn good content, and then Ant-Man came out and we feel the exact way about Ant-Man like we do now, then the question would have been, what happened?
Yeah.
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 It
The
was
question would
definitely
have
an
been, what
average movie.
happened? It's an average movie.
It was average.
I
Yeah.
enjoyed it more than Thor Love and Thunder, though. I'll say that.
Thor: Love and Thunder was a below average movie.
Hey, the only thing that gave me a lasting impression out of Thor: Love and Thunder was them screaming goats and Jane Foster's Thor.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we already talked about how it stacks up against Thor: Love and Thunder, but how do we think it stacked up against Eternals? Because if I'm correct, Rotten Tomatoes gave Eternals about the same score as
It's 1%
Ant-Man and
lower.
Wasp.
Ant-Man is
It's
at
1%
48.
lower?
Ant-Man is at 48%. The Eternals is at 47%. I think
Y'all-
it's fair, but I think they got those scores for two different reasons.
Okay, yeah.
Y'all know I'm one of the few people that actually enjoyed Eternals. I actually enjoyed it.
You
And
say you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I enjoyed Eternals. I definitely saw the mistakes, but I still enjoyed the premise, what they was bringing, some of the characters.
And that's what I'm saying. I think they got the scores for two different reasons. I think my biggest gripe with Eternals is that y'all trying to introduce too much in this movie, and it just didn't give enough when it came down to it. But Ant-Man is kind of like, the only thing you guys have going, in my opinion, is Kang the Conqueror, and everything else I really just didn't care for.
True.
Like, Eternals had all of the great ingredients to make a beautiful dish. They just didn't have a good cook.
Mm-hmm.
Ant-Man had bare bones ingredients, but a great cook, and they did what they could do.
Yeah. They gave
I'm gonna bring it back to food.
Ant-Man is giving Gordon Ramsay canned food and telling him to make something out of it. It's gonna be good because it's Gordon Ramsay, but the ingredients came out of a can.
He had Vienna sausages and bologna and some tuna, and they said make it work.
I feel you. I feel you.
Eternals had bell peppers, Laurie seasoning salt, Tony Satcheries,
lobster tail, New York strip,
and they just messed it
and
up.
Put it on a paper and put it on a styrofoam.
There we go. They couldn't even use plates that were good for the environment. There you go.
They put it on styrofoam. They put it on a styrofoam. They put it in a to-go box.
Oh,
right.
God.
And you know what Gordon Ramsay did? He said, "I know this meal suck, but I'm gonna at least add some really good Kool-Aid." And that was Jonathan Majors.
I think where this compares to other MCU movies, I think it falls into that middle. For me, it falls into that middle.
Did you wait? No, we're not gonna skip over that.
What did he say?
Because it's still Black History Month right now.
No,
you're not gonna sit here and say, let me put my hat on. You're not gonna sit here and call Jonathan Majors a lick of Kool-Aid like that.
I said really good Kool. I know. I said really good Kool-Aid.
I missed that part.
During Black History Month,
you said Jonathan Majors is a cup of Kool-Aid.
Really good Kool-Aid.
During Black History Month?
We all like Kool-Aid.
Right.
More than more than just us like Kool-Aid. More than just us like Kool-Aid.
That's so funny. But think of the meal that you put out, Ryan. You said Vienna sausages, bologna, and tuna fish. It said Jonathan Majors. It's the cup of Kool-Aid on the
no, I said Gordon.
You could have said any other juice, but you picked Kool-Aid.
But we're not gonna match
we like
a great
Milo's.
wine.
We like Simply.
You like Milo sweet tea?
Yes, I like Milo's lemonade.
I like my look. See, now we getting away from the point. I'm
on the point. I'm like, listen.
I put brisk way above.
Look,
Milo's
we not finna
personally.
have a
Back
bit
to the
who's the
point.
best tea argument.
Back to the point. My point was you could have picked anything else. But
I ain't hear him say that.
So for the Mississippi viewers, you got I'm thinking like Boston Supreme level Kool-Aid. Come on now.
Okay.
That makes it better.
Just to not focus in on the fact that Ryan just compared Jonathan Majors to Kool-Aid. The analogy is that Jonathan Majors, we all agree that Jonathan Majors as Kang the Conqueror was the best part of this movie.
He helped us to wash the movie down.
That's all that Ryan is trying to say. He said it in the worst way possible, but that's all he's trying to bring it back to the center. That was all he was trying to say. We apologize for Ryan. We apologize for Ryan. We apologize. That's all he was trying to say. Please. If you unsubscribe, please subscribe back. We apologize.
We sorry.
If you just put a dislike now, change it back to a like.
But that was pretty much all I had for Ant-Man. Did you guys have any other discussion points or anything you guys want to talk about?
Food finna make that Kool-Aid thing a snippet. And she finna off me.
Cancel them.
Cancel.
She like, not on behalf of, she gonna put it at the bottom. Ryan does not speak on behalf of the Blerd Mob, but this is what he said.
No.
But honestly, I don't have anything. The movie was
Yeah.
It didn't. I don't. Not to even ask this question.
Let's go.
What music do y'all even recognize from that film? Did y'all even recognize any music?
So I will say this. When I look at those criteria sheets, because like audience, we rate through a criterion. Y'all see them on Instagram. I say music is a 5. Like, I will always put music as a 5 if it did not add or detract from the movie, because that means it fit. So the music score, did I not notice it? I don't feel like that's a good or a bad thing. Because if I noticed it and it made me go, this don't fit, then it's bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess for me, when I analyze the score of a movie, it's basically when you guys started playing this music, did it, enhance the moment? Yes, it's sad, but the music is putting me in my feels. Now it's touching me a little bit deeper. Now that Ralph has asked the question, I don't remember hearing any music.
But for me, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, I agree, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. If they just stuck to silence,
I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but it also could have been like the fact that we felt the movie was and like the high intensity parts of it, when you're supposed to have that high intense music, like it didn't make the moment more of what it could have been. Like the part, imagine like the Batman level type music when Kang was vaporizing everybody, then it would have been like, oh shit.
Exactly. Music scores that come to mind, like where I heard them throughout the movie, I'm thinking exactly like Food, The Batman, and OG Black Panther.
Transformers got a nasty ass score too. Y'all ever listen to when them robots start fighting?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We can go further back to even Transformers. When I think music scores, those are some of the movies that come to mind where like the music was like on 10. Like it added so much to the movie.
But to Ralph's point, I don't remember hearing any music. And to Ryan's point, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing, but it also kind of means that whatever music you guys did put in this movie did not take away or give anything to the movie. You guys were kind of just like everything else in this movie, it was there.
Yeah. Because even the lack of music can add to a scene.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not trying to be a fanboy, but i.e. the fight between Gon and Hisoka in the anime.
When they shut that music down, when them boys were just like, straight throwing hands, like you didn't want to breathe now.
Exactly. The lack of music emphasized and enhanced that moment. So like music is one of those things where like you just gotta know how to use it.
True. I think they used it to the best of their ability. Like, we just can't give y'all a movie with no scores. But the scores that we're giving you guys is not going to take away or give anything to the movie. But it's something there to keep you guys involved and to keep that immersion going with the movie.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that was all I had.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and shut this down. Once again, thank you, Ryan and Ralph, for joining me on another episode of the Blerd Mob podcast. Thanks to everybody who's been listening, whether this is your first time or 50th time listening. The watches, the listens, the comments, the likes, all of it is very much appreciated. Thank you for the support. Make sure you guys check out those links in the description for Entertainment Earth and Right Stuff Anime and get you guys some cool stuff and support the mob. And with that being said, go ahead and lead us out, Ralph.
All right. Thank you guys for watching and or listening. Make sure you guys follow us on all our socials, Instagram at the Blerd Mob Pod, Facebook and TikTok at the Blerd Mob Podcast, and make sure you follow us on Twitter at the Blerd Mob. And with that being said, peace.
Hands up if you love him where you at, stand 10 toes down, shawty ain't no looking mad. You can let them haters hate when they asking why I'm smiling.